Thank you very much. Good evening, fellow Zimbabweans. I come to you in a very jovial mood, but also in a very serious context, because we have reached a very critical juncture in the history of our country. We are just left with about 22 days to a very crucial watershed election. And I must say, as your leader, as a people's leader, your leader, I'm ready to engage you on a series of these important e-rallies that are going to be running from now until the elections, which is our road to victory. Final victory is coming on the 3rd of July. There's no doubt that we are going to win. Siangova. We are winning. Truku winner. Whatever they do, they will not win. But before I commence, because I'll be doing this every day, every Monday, between 7 o'clock and 7:30, just to come and address fundamental issues to do with policy. You know that we are with our beautiful document, one of the best documents ever. I hear that in government they are already borrowing bits and pieces of that document, which is good. When you borrow fine ideas, when you borrow good ideas, that's beautiful. So we are looking at that. That is, we into this era. The document is going to take to you with 5 various segments that are going to be to you. The first one being the governance one. The second one is the economy, the issue of the services, and of course rights and minority interest groups being tackled. Last but quite important is the issue of infrastructure. So we'll go into a series of them to make sure that we articulate those issues, we answer your questions, we tell you what to expect in a new dispensation, a proper new dispensation, not the promised new dispensation or the claimed new dispensation. I know that my colleagues in ZANU-PF have been borrowing a lot of semantics nomenclature from our dictionary, the dictionary of change. They now talk about real change, which is obviously our language. We have no problem with language. We are interested in the deeds. They've now borrowed our language in terms of a new dispensation. We are not worried with that statement. We will go to the new one because our interest is in actions, not words. Our interest in deeds, not just the promises. So yes, we are that change that delivers, and we are saying, behold the new. But before I go into that, the Bible, which is the Bible, the book of wisdom, the holy book, has some very interesting scripture from 2 Samuel, a very powerful prophet. 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 1. I love this scripture. You know, I was reading the Bible this morning before my morning prayers. This verse, just jumped at me. It says, the war between the house of Saul and the house of David stayed a long time. David grew stronger and stronger, while the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker. This is the holy word. Very appropriate in our context. We realize that our colleagues, Mr. Mnangagwa as the leader representing the house of Saul, is growing weaker and weaker. And we have no problem with that because God has blessed us. God is in it. We are growing stronger and stronger, being the house of David, the covenant house, to restore in our country righteousness, to restore in our country faithfulness, to restore in our country the truth. So yes, today I just thought that I needed to highlight to you why we are very concerned on the issue of the ballot paper. A lot of you have asked the question, but why are we concerned? Why, as your leadership, are we worried about the issue of the ballot paper? Here's why. In 2013, you are aware that you all voted. Some voted for change, some didn't. That is what elections should be all about. But I must say to you, from my very highly placed sources within people in the ruling party, I managed to get what they did in 2013, which is why I'm very concerned about the issue of the ballot. And this is what they want to repeat this very important year, 2018. But we will not allow them to repeat it. We will not allow the mistakes of 2018. We will not allow the misses, the gaps of yesteryear, of 2013. We are going to make sure that we deal with this issue in a permanent way. We are going to make sure that we address this issue holistically. And this is why we have escalated this matter to say that we now have a process stalemate, a process dispute in the country. We are not agreed as a people. We are not agreed as political parties on the process of the election itself. It is perforated. There's disagreement. There's disharmony. There is no consensus on the election in terms of the election. As you may be aware, we had launched this document, which is a plan for a credible election in Zimbabwe. That document had 10 minimum conditions. We've reduced them to our minimum red line, which is that about 3 issues. The first one being the issue of the ballot paper, the second one being the issue of the voters' roll, the third one being the issue of the airplay or access to the media, and of course the fourth one is the issue which is so fundamental, the role of our esteemed soldiers, the military. We want them to play a pivotal role in the security of the country, but certainly not in the context of elections. Those are the 4 issues we are not going to compromise on, because we want to protect the essence of one man, one vote, the essence of the integrity of the vote. That was the whole purpose of our liberation struggle. And that was the whole reason why people crossed crocodile-infested rivers. Yes, crocodiles, not these other crocodiles, to go across the country, to be able to fight for our country, for our beloved Zimbabwe, our beautiful Zimbabwe, to liberate it, to make sure that our voice counts, to make sure that our votes count, to make sure that when we vote, we are deciding a leadership of our choice, so that we do not go in the sham of an election, a process that is disputed. So for that reason, let me go back to 2013. I said in 2013, there was a lot of rigging of the election. Some people do not even know what happened in 2013. Some are still confused. They've come up with all sorts of theories. But forget about the theories. This is what they did. They used a parallel or duplicate ballot system, wherein they printed almost an equivalent number of the ballot papers that had been printed officially. So that in those parallel or duplicate ballot papers, they have equal and same serial numbers as the official ballot papers. And once they've then done that, they then switch those ballot papers. The ballot paper, which is fake, I would call it a sham ballot paper, a fictitious ballot paper. That ballot paper is actually going to be a ballot paper that is used as a pre-marked ballot paper. When it is pre-marked, it means that when it is printed as already voted for. And this is why I must explain to you what you have seen happening. ZANU-PF, through the Herald, their mouthpiece, which is almost like the people's voice, they've been publishing, what they call surveys done by a certain Matsanga, who is related to some people who are senior in government, who have done certain deals before in certain countries, which I will not mention, and they are only doing this to try and prepare the nation for what they believe to be a circus that they want to roll out and to roll down our throats. But we will not allow that, because we know what they want to do. We have managed to catch them, and we will not allow a repeat of 2013. So what they do is that, yes, they will have a pre-marked ballot, which ballot will then have a percentage, say 70% for Mnangagwa, which is fiction, 30% for Chamisa, or they may want to even prop up their lucky. Maybe they choose Coupe, who becomes their front person, or they choose another person whom they think they just want to prop up. They give that person a few percentage points, and then Chamisa some 20 whatever percentage point to complete the whole picture. The rest of the candidates, they will just be accompanying. So as you go to vote, when you are voting in that fictitious ballot, that ballot does not show or reflect to you that it has already been pre-marked, because there's the thin white film that will be reflecting. So you will not see anything, but the moment you place your X on that ballot paper, the ink that is placed on that ballot paper is going to then activate that thin film of the white film to remove it after some few hours. Once it is removed, then the pre-marked ballot or the pre-marked point is then going to reflect. That one will then be showing whatever they have already pre-marked before in favor of Mnangagwa, so that when you then go to count votes, where you have about 800 people, you then have 780 out of 800 being Mnangagwa, 20 perhaps being Chamisa. Why? When people would have voted in actual fact 788 for Chamisa and possibly 12 for Mnangagwa, it will be completely reversed because of that reaction that takes place on the ballot. You will not be able to see it. When you go to your polling agents, they will have the same serial numbers. They will say these are the number of people who have come to vote, 800 of them at this polling station. There's no cheating. But already you have been cheated by the moment you place your ink. That ink, you are actually activating a process, which process is then going to reflect the pre-marked ballot. It invalidates your genuine vote, your real vote. That is what they did in 2013. They picked on constituencies, they picked on the presidential vote, and they want to repeat it again. in 2018. And here is why I must just tell you that that source of mine, who is very senior even now in ZANU-PF, gave me this as an elaborate thing. At that particular point in time when they gave me the information, they didn't know that they would end up in government. They were so angry because Teora Europa, Joyce Mujuru, was actually the one who was the right-hand person to Mr. Mugabe. So they gave me this information to say, please, convince President Tsvangirai to work with us in the context of our succession disputes within ZANU-PF. We did a lot of work for Mugabe. He's forgetting us. We belong to another faction. But now we are the ones who made Mugabe to win. I said, what did you do? Just hang on. What did you do for Mugabe? He said, no, look, go and check. We managed to help Mr. Mugabe to win because we also wanted our faction to be strong. I said, which faction? They said, no, our faction, which is the faction that is now governing the country and governing ZANU-PF. So what happened? They told me that in Masingo, for example, in Manicaland, for example, in Mat South, because they wanted Mr. Mnangagwa to come up with a higher vote in the context of their internal politics against Maya Mujuru was coming from Mashonaland, where they were winning all the parliamentary seats. They also wanted to show up their fortunes in what they call the South-South, Manicaland, Masvingo, and Mat South. That's why you see that even the harakiri, the tsunami on the MDC was more pronounced in those southern provinces. Why? Because they wanted to show up Mnangagwa's seminarians in the context of internal ZANU-PF dynamics against Joyce Mujuru then, who belonged to what was called Gamatox. Yes, so you would find that. I said, but how is that possible? He said, no, we used the ballot. And we had other people who were working on this. I was given more details, which I have, and I will not reveal them at this particular point in time. But if anybody challenges me, I'm ready, even under oath, to then give more information on this very important piece. What it does, so that it's invented, validated, or invalidated on the basis of facts. And I have no doubt with that. Once it is done, we'll get all the facts done. So yes, they told me, if you want to prove that this is what happened, can you explain why in certain constituencies, people who were independent candidates, but sponsored by a certain faction, won against those who were standing for the ruling party? For example, in Bikita West, for example, some constituents, I think there was Mudzi, where some Kange was standing, they won against party candidates, not because they were popular, but because they were beneficiaries of a particular, affirmative action. And of course, that, to be a very important point, because I then also investigated. I said, but how do I know that that is true? I said, go and do a further investigation. I did, and I found that yes, it's something that merits further investigation. They did not number two. They said there's a certain constituency in Masingo. It said they must leave about 3 seats, but they said no, we are not going to leave any seats. At least those who were running the campaign. So it ended up with all this that was supposed to be given to MDC. They even further on said on the third point, those who were contesting, especially some people like yourself, Chamisa, you were not defeated because we gave a favor to you because you are from Masingo. I said, hang on, I won an election in Kwazana. I fought so hard. I said, no, yes, you did fight. But of course, there are areas where we send genuine ballots, we send those ballots. So in all those areas saying you won, you did not win. You were just a beneficiary of an affirmative action. I contested this thing, but they said wherever there were people from Masingo who were standing as MPs, even in the various provinces, they were spared the X. They also told me about Honorable Biti and how he had then managed to win through the postal ballot because of what they were trying to achieve. They told me about how they had victimized Chiangwa, particularly in the context of Chino, where ZANU all the ward elections, except the MP where it was then given to our MP Matarus. The same thing with Jonathan Moi's constituents. And I also know what happened in terms of certain investigations that were done when Jonathan complained and how he ended up being promoted to be a minister without a portfolio, Jonathan Moi. So all things, I would delve into greater detail. But to guard against any of these issues to be repeated in 2018, we have said we must monitor the printing of the ballot from day one, the procurement of the ballot paper. Number two, the printing of the ballot paper, including the layout of who is going to vote in terms of the law, who is going to in terms of the law, in terms of the alphabet. Number 3 is going to then store the storage ballot paper. Number 4, we want to know the issue of the distribution of that ballot paper. Number 5, we want to be part of the 10,978 polling stations deployment of the ballot paper. We will have our own person monitoring until the ballot paper gets into the
without portfolio
of the voter. No, so we also ballot is done the observation of the printing, the testing, and other things. We still need to be sure that the ballot has not been tampered with. If our people are going to be part of the storage, then that's fine. So that is why we are insisting on the issue of the ballot paper. Once beaten, twice shy. We do not end there. We also want the voters to be followed according to the law. The pictures that have been on the voters are going to get. Let it be visible so that we can have
so hard. Say, no, yes, you did fine. But of course, there are areas where we send genuine ballots, we send those other ballots. Store or the storage of that ballot paper. Number 4, we want to know the issue of the distribution of that ballot paper. Number 5, we want to be part of the 10,978 polling stations deployment of the ballot paper. We will have our own person monitoring until the ballot paper gets into the hand of the voter. Not only that, we also want to do forensic testing of our ballot to make sure that that ballot is tested before people vote, so that we are sure, in as much as we have done the observation of the printing, the forensic testing, and other things, we still need to be sure that the ballot has not been tampered with. If our people are going to be part of the story, then that's fine. So that is why we are insisting on the issue of the ballot paper. Once beaten, twice shy. We do not end there. We also want the voters' roll to be followed according to the law. Let the pictures, the photographs be shown on the voters' roll that we are going to get. Let it be analyzable so that we can have our own independent audits. If there's nothing to hide, why is it so hard to provide a simple thing we are asking for? Transparency, accountability. The rights of a candidate is also access to information. That's what we are simply asking for. Why should it be difficult? And why is it that senior people in government have not been able to answer to these things that I have mentioned? Because I know that some of them know, but the rest of those in ZANU-PF do not know about it. They are innocent. They will be participating as if they are participating in a proper election. It's only a few, a cartel of a few individuals who participate in this sham, in this scheme. And this is what we must expose. But to be able to guard against that, let us go into printing of the ballot paper, observation, storage of the ballot paper, its distribution, its forensic testing, including all the sensitive electoral material, so that we are satisfied that we are not going to have a repeat of the sham of 2013. We do not want disputed elections. Mr. Mnangagwa, if he has said he's open for business, he surely should be open for a free and fair election. He should be open for an open ballot. He should be open for an accountable balloting system. And that is what we are simply asking for. That is what will define the critical election of the 30th of July. Not only that, apart from the issue of the voters' roll, the ballot, we are also talking about issues that are very important. If ZANU-PF are also equal participants in this election, why have they never complained? They've never ever complained against ZEC. They've never ever said a thing where they are not unhappy with ZEC. They seem to be happy because ZEC has now become their extension. They've become the spokespersons of ZEC, even on the issues we have raised. It is Simon Kayamon, it is Pupuraito Garep, who is actually speaking, it is Mangwana, who are speaking on behalf of ZEC, when ZEC is supposed to defend themselves, because they are supposed to be a universal, referee, a very free and fair umpire, but they are not. They've chosen to work with a particular party, with a particular team, and that's why we are contesting that. Not only that, we have heard that they've shared database that belongs to ZEC. It is now being seen in terms of the numbers that are being sent, messages from E.D. Mnangagwa. So there has been some semblance, and we suspect that there's been sharing of the database of ZEC with that of ZANU-PF, and something that we have asked our team to investigate, and we want that to be investigated. We are not happy with this.
Allow ZANU-PF to get away with murder, literal and metaphorical, and we make sure that we
do. Those are the issues we have placed on the table. Colleagues, if you have any questions, I'm willing to hear those questions, because I said this is an e-rally, it's an interactive platform. If there are any questions, I want to hear what the questions are. If you're able to give me the questions, then I'll be able to respond to those questions so that we're able to go forward. This is why on Wednesday we are saying that we are going to have a demonstration. The demonstration is to make sure that we deal with these issues once and for all. I've had to do this to make sure that I also give you some snippets of why we are suspicious of the ballot and why we are suspicious that our colleagues in ZANU-PF are not campaigning that hard, because they are trying to bank and count on rigging of this election, and we will not allow the rigging. That's why we have said we will not boycott the election, and we will not also allow ZANU-PF to get away with murder, literal and metaphorical. And we will make sure that we do everything, leave no stone unturned, to have a free and fair election on the 30th of July. Including, if ZEC can't do it, we can ask another empire. In fact, where we are going now, we are beginning to lose confidence in ZEC. We are beginning to lose confidence in the chairperson of ZEC. She's a judge of the High Court. We respect her in that regard. But she should also respect citizens. We are citizens. We are candidates. We deserve the right to be honored, to be respected, with our constitutionally guaranteed rights in terms of Section 155, 156, as well as Section 62. There are rights that are inherent in our Constitution. We will pursue them. We will also make sure that we have those rights. Right? Let me just check what your questions. I just want to see what the questions are. What else for in shambles? Zimbabwe is open for rigging elections. Still trying what's okay. If you don't understand what I'm saying, I'm sorry about that, but you will understand if you listen carefully. ZEC is no mandate to take instruction from. Very correct. It must not take instruction from political parties, but it must also consider the interests of the candidates. And I'm a candidate. I will not give any instruction, but my concerns must be addressed. If they are not addressing them, I have every right to protest and pursue my rights within the Constitution. Chigumba said there's no law. If she said that, then I think we must show her the law. We are ready to show her the law. Because they are independent. And we want to actually liberate them from the manacles and shackles of ZANU-PF, where they've been arrested and captured. So yes, we believe in the independence of ZEC, only that ZANU-PF believes in the independence of ZEC but practices non-independence of ZEC. Yes, okay, what do we do then? Yeah, what we do is very simple. We are going to go into demonstrations to be heard. We have escalated our issue to the AU and SADC. We want to be heard. We will escalate it to the international community, including the United Nations, to be able to have a global spotlight on this issue until it has been resolved. We as Zimbabweans, we are citizens. We will not resort to violence, but we will use instruments of peace to make sure that we have our issues addressed and heard. Even on the 30th of July, you can't say that there's an election when there's no election. We must agree on the independence of ZEC. We must agree on the balloting. We must agree on the printing of the ballot and the voters' roll. Yes, but Seva, thanks, Owen. Yes, that is also another issue. Nya Seva is a big issue. Who is keeping that Seva? We want to know where the Seva is, or at least for our security, for our confidence. We need to know where the ZEC is. What else? Okay, I see Timothy Ngwenya there is just watching. I think I've answered what is the way forward. The way forward is very clear. We are going to be putting pressure. Three things. Number one, we have to start afresh the printing of the ballot under our observation. Or two, we have to test the ballot papers and be satisfied that the ballot papers are not susceptible to any machinations and manipulation. Number three, if they can't manage it because they want to raise issues of time, or let us have SADC and the AU to also kick in to try and help us. We are people who belong to the continent of Africa. We belong to the community of nations in SADC. So we must be able to escalate our matter to be resolved, because we now question the independence of ZEC. I've requested a meeting with President Mnangagwa on these issues so that I tell him more, in confidence and also in secrecy. But he has not been available. Perhaps he's too busy, but that's fine. I believe that as a nation builder, I must be able to approach other political parties, engage them. We have engaged other opposition political parties to also share our concerns on this aspect.
I know what I'm talking about. They know that I know what I'm talking about. And colleagues, fellow Zimbabweans, please hear what we are saying. Let us simply forget about all the things I have said. Let's have a transparent printing of the ballot. Its security, its storage, and of course, more importantly, its distribution. Once we do that, let's go for a fair and fair election. If Mnangagwa wins, I will congratulate him. And I even assist him with ideas, because I know that ideas always come from different angles. We will then move our country forward. But he will not win. I also expect him, if I defeat him, to help me go forward as one of our founding fathers, assist in moving our country forward. Zimbabweans need jobs. They need good governance. They need cash in the banks. They need all these problems to be resolved. There's a lot of poverty, unhappiness, and anger in their homesteads. We need, in the various families, to deal with these issues one and for all. And this is why it's important to address the issue of elections, so that we are able to deal with that. Yes, if you are going to fund 100 billion economy in 5 years, it requires at least 20. Okay, we'll talk about the economy at the appropriate time. Mr. President, we're not going to be forced into a sham election. Thank you very much for that. Yes, polling agents, are you able to? Yes, in fact, polling agents, we've done 44,000 polling agents. For the 11,000 or so, in fact, 10,978 polling stations we have done 4 polling agents per polling station. So we have 44,000 polling agents across the whole country, well trained, waiting to go and ready to go. Mr. President, God to see you through. Thank you very much. We are praying so hard, we are fasting so hard, and we want to make sure that we win this election. Yes, we are going to go to ZEC. Yes, we want to engage ZEC because they are our independent body. They are our referee. We must go to them. I've seen all those. Yes. Thank you very much. You are level-headed. Thanks, Obey, for that kind comment. Yes, Mr. Chamisa, you're saying the truth. Yes, thank you very much. Where do the fidelity printers? Yes, fidelity printers again is a suspicious printing press. Yes, it belongs to government, but it is controlled by certain people. Our people have not been allowed to go and observe the printing of the ballot. It's a big issue. Mr. Chamisa, please do not give up on this one. Thank you for supporting. I really appreciate. This is very intelligent man. Not 5, not 4 plus 10. Thank you very much, Riza. I appreciate that. ZANU-PF will never have any election. This is not a ZANU-PF primary. This is a national election. So it's not about what ZANU-PF wants. It's about what the people of Zimbabwe want. Because we fought for one man, one vote. The liberation struggle was all about you and me asking for the issue of one man, one vote. Colleagues, I want to thank you. We are going to have more of this, and we'll continue to have all these things.
Clarify more about Wednesday march. Just to confirm.
Yes, I'm supposed to clarify on the Wednesday march. The march is on. We are starting early in the morning at 8. We are going to be marching. The directions are going to be addressed to and adhered to by our organizing secretary, because this is a peaceful march. We have applied to the police. The police, they've done very well in terms of respecting the constitution and being the police of the people, being a police service. And it's something that we must appreciate. We as Zimbabweans, we do not seek any harm for anybody. We want peaceful march just to express ourselves, because it is a right that is given in the constitution. So on Wednesday, I'm asking you all to come and show if you agree with our message, if you agree that we must have a free and fair election, because the election that is free and fair is the only gateway and map out of our current crisis to issues of the economy, which is functional, spaghetti rolls, bullet trains, happiness, happy Mbamako, all these things that are going to resolve all the fundamental issues. Cash in your bank, cash in your account, cash in your pocket, Munwese Kubasa, people going to jobs. We can only deal with this once we've dealt with the issue of a free and fair election. And I want to thank the EU, I want to thank the US, I want to thank the UK, the international community, all those who are supporting SADC, AU, who are supporting the cause for a free and fair election, who have understood our issues. We want to thank you. The people of Zimbabwe, we want to thank you. Kudos. God is in it. We are going for it. Behold the new change that delivers. Thank you.
Zimbabwe musacheuke, musacheuke baba namwela wana Zimbabwe musacheuke, musacheuke Enyika musacheuke baba namwela bana lenyika ino musacheuke, musacheuke